Hey guys, this is episode 2, part 2. Just want to get more, details with the Afghan Police. Just to continue on from the last episode, I just want to touch up on the corruption within the Afghan Police. Not just corruption. There's a lot of hardworking men out there who, Afghan police officers. So not now, since the ISAF members left in August of 2022. It's horrible. But nonetheless, while I was there, there's a lot of hardworking Afghans who wanted to do right in their country. The biggest thing is with the corruption. It's like the way I always saw the whole corruption thing was, it's a third world country. If a person's pretty obese, he's eating well, there's a reason behind it. There's a couple times where I'll be teaching a class. So I'll give you an example. One class I was teaching where it was navigation, so simple, basic, north, south, east, west. I was just trying to get them to understand the concept of finding things, just the surrounding environment. So there was a mountain behind our police station, and that was north from our police station. So I'd use that as a reference point, saying, when you see this mountain on this side, that's north. Things like that. So I'd always ask them, like, so if that's north, which way is south? And then you get they would be confused about it. And I was, well, if one's north, the other's gotta be south. But just their thought process wasn't clicking in. So I'm trying to figure out why. Then I thought, it's like, okay, which way to Mecca? And they would point west, because in Afghanistan it's west, not east, like in Canada, but they point west. It's like amazing. So I'll always use that as a reference point. So usually people are like, where's true north? And you kind of go from there. For them, it's like west, which way is west? And then you kind of go off of that. So while doing this lecture about navigation, I would be interrupted, and they'd just ask, well, I'd ask them, anyone have any questions? And they'd ask, when do we get paid? Or is the chief supposed to get a cut for payment? I was like, so it was just me, it was between me and the interpreter, and then the other, I believe it was 8 or 9 Afghan police. And so I said, no, you're supposed to get your full payment. The chief of the police was also living with us, was stating that the cut or the percentage you take was for the food, living quarters, things like that, and ammo and things like that. And I would stretch about camera view, and it still sucks. How's that? That's better. Anyways, and I would tell them, it's like, well, no, we're already covering for that. You're supposed to get your payment. Usually guys are working there to send money back home, right, where villages are from. So I would ask, who else is getting the same raw deal, and all of them put their hands up. Okay, so obviously I brought it through my chain of command, things like that. But there's that side of corruption, and then there's close calls. Like I said, when these Afghans want to become Afghan police, it's not like here in the West where you can kind of do a background check and find out who's who and where, things like that. It's pretty much, this is so and so from village of whatever. And it's just like, okay. And then it gets to the point where some of the guys don't know who's like, who's this guy? It's like everyone's like, kind of, I don't know. He just showed up. Okay, well, it's gotta go, kind of thing, right? Anyways, so it was one day I was teaching a class on or a lecture on just handcuffing. Now, given our job was, they kind of already go to an Afghan police school, and then they come to us, and we kind of just we're kind of coaching them, coach officers, kind of mentoring them on whatever it is they taught, and then kind of, okay, this is what you taught, rely on your training. So I'm just doing this lecture on just handcuffing, just basic handcuffing techniques. Now, in the police world, what they do is basically they teach, talk to the subject and say, okay, we're going to talk to them. Okay, you tell them to turn around, put your hands behind your back, lean forward. You tell them to put your hands behind your back and kind of with the palms or the back of the hands touching themselves. Now, the most effective way to control a subject is basically kind of grab them by the meat of the hands, not the thumbs. I think they originally taught the thumbs, but the meat of the hands is where you want to go. So one guy was like, well, no, we were taught this way, by grabbing the thumbs. I'm like, okay. So I said, okay, so do so. So I do that. He grabs my thumbs, and I immediately escape. And I said, well, that's why you don't do it. I told him, now grab the meat in the hands. He does so, and I'm legitimately trying to get out, and he can't. I can't. Sorry, he's having more control. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's why. And then now this one's bothering me. So now we do the scenario base. So I basically tell them, okay, you're arresting me. Carry on with the scenario, right? So he tells me, obviously this is all through the interpreter, and he tells me to turn around. I turn around, put my hands in my bag. I do so. It's fun. These steps, great. Then it gets to the point where he grabs my thumbs. So I immediately escape. We started getting a little tussle. Now I'm playing along with it. I'm like, okay. I guess it was his ego. Ego's not your amigo. Always remember that. So we get to the tussle. I'm facing him. He goes for my leg holster, my gun, my leg holster, and I immediately just grab it. I was like, is this is he playing around? Like, what's going on? He starts pulling it out. I immediately take him down to the ground. Gun's out. He took it out. Gun's out. His finger is on the trigger. My finger's over his finger. I put the gun to his neck, and I'm putting pressure to his neck, and I kind of in this mounted position, and I immediately start looking away and I realize this guy is up to no good. I'm here to take him out. His finger was on the trigger. Keep that in mind. That seems like pretty malicious intentions. Take him to the ground. I put my finger over his finger. I'm kind of looking away. I was like, this guy's about to get shot, and I don't want any blood on me, or at least on my face. In the corner of my peripheral, in my corner of my eye, I see his, I guess, Afghan police counterparts kind of walking towards us. And in my mind, like, how am I gonna get out of this? I'm gonna have to John Wick my way out of this, essentially, right? So I immediately just add more pressure to his neck with the pistol, and just make him realize, and just start to make until he basically has enough. Pain compliance, essentially. He finally lets go. I holster my weapon. I'm just looking at him, just full of anger. Just, you idiot. You were like this close to dying. For ego, whatever the case is, right? So you get instances like that. You get other instances where they would bring prisoners in, and you know, we'd ask, who's this guy? He's like, oh, he's a farmer, but he stole crop, or he stole whatever from another farmer. So we're keeping him for a day. Like, okay, there's no paperwork, keep in mind. So then, like, okay. Now they would use. Sometimes they give these like serious beatings, and we'd have to intervene. Like, you guys can't do this, right? Like, we're hearing the screams and stuff. Like, you guys can't do this, right? We kind of told them, like, you know, get more with honey, you do with vinegar kind of method. And then it got to the point where they were getting these guys, these prisoners, to basically do their work. So Fridays is their holy day. I can't recall the name, but we'd use that as a maintenance day. So, you know, clean our weapons, and, you know, whatever needs fueling up, things like that. And so we clean up the garbage, you know, within our police station, right? So we'd ask the Afghan police, you know, clean up your mess, right? They would have the Afghan police, or the prisoners, basically going around cleaning up trash for them. And, you know, I'd step out of, you know, our room, and like, who's watching this person? And like, you know, it's like, I don't know. Like, there's no Afghan police watching. Keep in mind, we have weapons all over the police station. So the simple logic, things like that, we have to deal with. So, you know, we yell out for the interpreter, come by, and it's like, yeah, tell these guys that they, you know, someone's got to watch them. Or keep them in the cell, right? So it's little things like that we have to deal with. When it came to going to calls, we get dispatched to help out certain, like, sometimes we'd be utilized as the quick reaction force, and we'd use the Afghan police would come out, no problem. When it came to patrols, no problem, they came out. Again, sometimes they'd be high as kites, and it'd be really hard to go on a patrol after that, right? But it got to the point where, I mean, there's one incident where a convoy is heading towards us in our direction, and they get attacked with small arms fire. So we head out. So there's 2 of our vehicles and about 3-4 of the Afghan police vehicles. We make our way there, and then we kind of give chase to the Taliban through a village just south of the convoy's location. As we're kind of disembarking and kind of stepping off to kind of hunt the Taliban, the convoy starts saying, hey, we're going to head out now. And we kind of tell them, like, you guys called us for help. You guys are our support, so how about you stay put, kind of thing. So it's just back and forth with us and our own guys, essentially, right? The mindset of the lack of support, it's like, I understand nobody wants to die, but why are we here, right? Just be cautious, do your thing, right? And just, you know, I guess my thought process is different. I don't know. I also don't want to die, right? But I mean, you signed up for a job, so and there's risks in it, right? Obviously, right? If I'm a plumber, it's a good chance I'm going to be wet, right? I shouldn't have to get wet. I'm going to try to avoid getting wet, but there's a good chance I'm probably going to get wet, right? So we end up chasing the Taliban. They took off. We couldn't, you know, we lost them, right? Then it got to the point where, I mean, we're kind of chasing through the village. Pretty much, it seems like, you know, it's a bad idea. We're potentially could be going into an ambush, right? So here I am running with about 100 pounds of gear, checking, you know, alleyways and doorways, and, you know, the heat, it sucks, right? But again, we have a job to do. And the Afghan police were great. Like, you see them, you know, their jeeps, and they're kind first ID we actually dealt with was, I think it was the first week we got there. And we're kind of in our rooms right now, hanging out, and we hear gunfire, right? And the guy's yelling out, Taliban, Taliban. So we kind of get out, we take points on the rooftop, and we're yelling out, where do you know, through the interpreter, obviously, right? Like, where do you see? Where do you see? He's kind of shooting in this one direction. IED goes off. So we immediately step out, get in their vehicles, and start pursuing. There's a guy on a motorcycle, I guess, leaving the scene, and one of our guys who starts hammering at him with the heavy machine gun. With the, I believe it was the 50 cal caliber C6 or M60, as some people know it as. Now, one of our guys is calling it out, saying, you know, he's in a motorcycle, he's hammering at him. All of a sudden, I guess the motorcycle, he ditches the motorcycle, he starts running, still shooting. All of a sudden, the guy disappears. No idea where he went. Kind of go towards where the motorcycle was, trying to find some sort of evidence of where he was. It's at night, say about 9, 10 o'clock at night. And can't find him. No idea where he went. A lot of this throughout the tour started happening more and more often. We started calling the Taliban the Tooth Fairy. They were leaving, you know, gifts for us, but we could never find them. So then we kind of go back and realize, I guess, one person was supposed to, I guess, plant the IED, cross the wires, messed up, whatever it was, and took himself out. My guess, he evaporated because there's no evidence of him there. It was a very little stain, I would say. So then, you know, we kind of like debrief, okay, what happened, things we could have done, do better, things we did bad, whatever, right? Things like that. And another incident would be, we would have a lot of intel stating, you know, there's an ID here, or there's like an ID factory at this location, things like that, in this village. Majority of times we show up, we turn up with zeros. I don't know if anyone saw the movie Green Zone. It was a lot of that. So it got a little frustrating, because we're trying to figure out where are they getting this intel from. So we started cultivating our own sources. The Afghan Police, like the chief of police, was helping with that, and he was really good with it. Like, he would get a phone call like, hey, there's, you know, he just got a phone call saying there's an ID at this certain location. Like, okay. Now, granted, they would know if they would find an ID, they would get reward of money, right? Or no money. They would get money for it. So we don't know if they'd make these IDs, plant it out, let us know, and then come and collect, right? Again. So we show up to this one ID spot, and we'd ask the Afghan police, like, point to where you see the IED. Because the guy said, yeah, show them, come. So, you know, our boss will tag along. He's like, yeah, it's right. And he points right to the ground. 180, what the hell, right? So things like that. So we call it in, say, to the Tango 1, so which is the tankers. No offense to the tankers. I know it's not them personally, it's upper brass and stuff. But we tell them, hey, confirmed ID, somebody's to come out, the engineers to come out and deal with it. They say, because given the time of the night, they need to see the lay of the land, they won't come on at night. But okay. And we just told them, well, we're short at this location, and we can't hold up this spot all night. I mean, we could, but then we got to do it the next day, carry on. And the guys at the police station can't hold up all night. Again, they can, but then they got to be up all day as well. So it's gonna be a long day, and there's no reason for it when you got hundreds, of soldiers on the base to help out. So they basically said, it's this back and forth where, we want to bip it, so blow in place, and they said, no, don't bip it, the engineers need evidence, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, but someone needs to come out here. So it's literally about a half hour this debate. At one point, they basically said to leave it out there, we'll deal with it in the morning. Like, there's no logic in that. So at the end, we just told them, listen, we're gonna bip it, come out and stop us. Sure enough, blew up, and then went back to our police station, and as far as I know, nothing came of it in terms of us getting in trouble. Another thing, with lack of support as well, we have a washer at our police station. It wasn't the best, but better than nothing, right? We did have the old school, I don't know what they're called, but the old school laundry boards, right? And we got to the point where we went to the military base, and we'd ask, we saw like a washer dryer stackable, like, hey, any chance, we can have that? I mean, for the most part, we didn't need a dryer. We're in the desert, the sun works fine, but if it's a stackable, we'll take it, kind of thing. And the supply guy was like, no, it's meant for some high-ranking officer. I think he said a colonel. And he's like, it's for him when he shows up, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you guys already have a laundry service here. Their laundry service is you put your clothes in a bag with your name on it, leave it with them, they do their laundry thing, and then you pick it up either that day or the next day, whatever. So we, kind of huddled and like, okay, this is ridiculous. How about we're gonna take it, right? We go. I end up distracting the supply guy. I'm looking, like I need some duct tape, blah blah blah, whatever. He's telling me where it is. I said, can you come here and show me? I can't find it. He's showing me. I'm distracting him. How about this? How about that? Whatever. The guys leave. Drop off the stackable washer dryer. They come back and pick me up. Now we have a washer dryer. Later on, I think a week or two later, he asks, any idea where that washer dryer stackable went? I just made dumb. I don't know. When it came to the food supply, we had to we go to ask the kitchen staff. The kitchen staff are amazing. We'd always go to them, ask the head honcho there, and say, hey, we're here from NBC. What can we take? Or any kind of go and say, take this, take that. Don't take too much of this, but take some of that, and we'd respect it 100%, right? We ate like kings. We ate really well. We had barbecue 3-4 times a week-ish, right? It was really good. Steaks, we had barbecues, like it was good. But I think it goes well with morale and things like that. We had ice cream, in the freezer. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was good. Sometimes the Afghan police would take our food. So we had a box of Twix, the Costco size, right? And one day, we kind of digging, like where's the Twix, right? We have a little kitchen area. I'm like, where's the Twix? We couldn't find it. What the hell? We're all like kind of asking each other, like, who took the Twix, right? And then we started like, okay, maybe it was one of the Afghan police, right? Snuck into our tent, our kitchen, and kind of took some. So like, will they do that? I don't know. They never did. We're like, okay, what's going on here? Turns out, one of the Afghan police, with all the cookie crumbs, with all the wrappers, a bunch of wrappers surrounded him as he's passed out. So clearly, smoking gun. Confront him, talk to the chief about it. They put him in jail for like a day. So his nickname obviously was Twix after that, and you know, carried on with it ever, right? But so it's the little things like that we dealt with the Afghan police. So again, for the most part, they're great. Like my counterpart was Afghan rebel, awesome guy, hard worker, always had his vest on, ready to kick ass and take names, right? Very reliable, really good guy. When I left, I gave him a bunch of free stuff. You know, I told him, you know, do what you can and stay strong and go from there, right? But yeah, so that's it for the most part. I guess I'll come in and talk to you guys about more tomorrow. So, or tomorrow or the next day. We'll see. We'll play by ear. But see you guys soon, and talk to you later. Part 3.